title of it is Tyrone Goes to the Capitol, and it's so named because my friend Tyrone drove me to Harrisburg to deliver a large landscape painting during the pandemic. He was driving and I was taking pictures of all the landscape around on the side of the road. And I took like a dozen shots and I made 4 paintings of them, and this is the last one. It was sitting on that wall over there, incomplete for a long time, and then something happened over the last couple of days where I was like, I need to finish that painting. I don't know why. I need to feel the accomplishment of finishing something. And so I just sat down and I just like knocked it out. I was like, okay, now that's done. Now I can move on.
How long have you been doing your artwork?
I've been doodling and doing some of these juxtaposition kind of like drawings and doodles since high school, even earlier, maybe junior high. I didn't realize that like art was like a special skill. I thought that everyone could do it if they just put their mind to it. And when I realized it was something that I was good at, it made me feel like I was somewhat important. I felt very invisible as a kid. I was sort of pudgy, like I am now, but like, you know, imagine a pimply-faced teenager version of me with a high top. And I felt like art made me feel seen. And so this goes down like that. I call my work, my abstract work, I call it abstract narrative. When I have too much of that, the landscape provides me that moment of respite that I need to breathe. And then once I do that, then I'm ready for going back into the battle or going back into that journey that I'm on with these more dense creations. I tell people that I paint stories and I tell moral fables. They're often dichotomous stories with a good and a bad side, or at least they start out that way, and then maybe the whole series is about how the world is a bunch of gray. I'm trying to capture some kind of essence, some kind of like humanity. I see the world as a very, very dense place with lots of like voices kind of screaming out at you, trying to demand your attention. And that's the way I paint as well. My biological father abandoned me when I was 1. And then my mom, like a couple of years later, met my stepfather, and he raised us as his own kids. I guess it should have been obvious to me that something was up because I mean, my brother and my sister are both what we call high yellow or red bone, and I was dark. And so, you know, it was, I guess clear to everyone that we weren't like, you know, we were a blended situation.
You mentioned that, you know, that your stepfather was abusive. Was he abusive to you?
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, like we got like wailed on, like, I mean, but it was a different era where beating your kid wasn't as bad as it is now. So it's hard for me to distinguish between like whether or not the beatings were like just the way everyone was raised back then and whether it was some kind of special abuse. I do feel like, you know, I'm a gay man, and I feel like my inner faggotry was like, you know, apparent to him at an early age, because he was the thing that he used to single me out for is like holding my hand like that. And he used to wail on me for that, like, you know, not being masculine enough or butch enough. And so I kind of developed sort of insecurities about that even to this day. My sister died in hospice care. She has spent the last few years of her life as an opioid addict to deal with pain that she was experiencing from her complications due to her diabetes. I felt heartbroken, and I still kind of blame myself because he had many occasions kind of begged me to like move back to Florida, and I just couldn't see myself moving back to that state. I actually offered her to come up to the north to live with me, but it never worked out. And so I felt like I needed to sort of honor the bright side of her and consider her sort of a queen, a sweet figure, a sweet girl. She was so shy, bashful. She definitely had an opinion and a spirit about her, but like she loved hard. I miss her a lot. My art has saved my life. And so it's, if I didn't have it, I would like probably spin out of control. I've had a long history of of depression in my life. Several attempts at suicide, actually 4, over the course of my life. My paintings are therapy, definitely. They're my release. It's no accident that, like, in my everyday life, I try to be as monochrome as possible. I mean, like, my favorite colors are gray, blue, brown, and black. It all comes out in the art. I mean, that's where I get to be expressive in fauve and color design. That's where it all goes to. And then for me, what I leave for myself is this cold, reserved person. If I didn't have the paintings, it would be a bad thing. I would have to do something else, maybe exercise. I mean, I hear that it has wonderful effects.
What do you want people to feel when they're looking at your stuff?
I mean, I understand that mostly what they see is like a bunch of stuff, and that it's hard to focus. And they see density and all of that stuff that I've been hearing for years. But I hope that, like, through all that noise, quote unquote noise that they see through my work, they get a little sense of myself, this chaos that I seem to keep replicating in these abstract pieces, are very much my version of a self-portrait. And so I hope they see me and they, like, appreciate the time and effort and thought behind the pieces. And I want them to, like, want it, I mean, like I said before, I do have a certain sense of ego. I mean, I do like to make things that people find pretty and want to bring home with them. So. But like I said, it's like more or less like I'm making self-portraits, and so I hope that they see me in some respects, since I don't really make self-portraits all that much. Yeah.